Hello and welcome to Zero Cool Gaming and today's game review. Today we're going to be reviewing Darksiders 2. But it's not really a review, it's more of what I wish they had done. And we'll get into that. What is Darksiders 2? Well, Darksiders 2 is the second iteration of Darksiders. You play as Death, and you go through and you start the game on a quest to clear your brother War's name because he's being accused of starting the apocalypse. And there's several things that happen in this story, and the end of it is actually a really good ending. I like the way it ends. I also like the way that the story begins. The problem that I have with this is that about halfway through, the story falls apart, and none of it is really answered. So, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to play a fan fiction of what I wish they had done with this story because all the elements were there for it, and I don't understand why they didn't. So, I'm going to totally butcher this game as far as its storyline. And that's just what I'm going to do. These are just my ideas, my thinking, and what I was thinking when I was actually playing the game. And I've played this game 3 times. And it really feels like about halfway through the story, they changed writers, and the new writers had no idea where the old writers were going with it. I mean, I don't know if that's what happened. It doesn't really matter. That's just what it feels like. So, let me tell you about corruption. Corruption is an element within this game that you come across very early in the game, right after the introduction, actually. And you learn that it's affecting this world that you're on. It's the Maker's world. It's never shown, but it's implied that this corruption can infect Makers themselves. It's stated that many Makers have fled the world, and most of their constructs, or their golems, or whatever you want to call them, have been infected by this corruption. And it's gotten so bad that those that remain on the world can now no longer leave it. That is a very cool introduction to corruption. And it doesn't stop there, it gets better. Once you figure out how to get to the Tree of Life, and you get there, the first thing that happens to you is you're sucked in by corruption. What I guess would happen to most beings is that they would be corrupted and released or whatever, and they go through whatever happens to them, whatever mutations or changes that's going to occur to them. But for whatever reason, it wasn't able to affect Death. And Death learns that corruption is one of the Nephilim that he showed a second's mercy to. And it's not just the one of the Nephilim that he showed a second's mercy to, because you learn in the beginning intro that Death didn't exactly follow the orders of the Charred Council. He had chosen to not necessarily save the souls, but contain the souls of many of the Nephilim. And he gave that artifact, that device, that whatever it was that was containing them, to a character that they call the Crowfather. Like I said, the beginning of this is all very intricate, well woven together storyline. So Death, to me, he felt a how would I put that? Kind of a responsibility at that point to um, put an end to corruption, because in a way it's his fault that it exists. Now, if I was writing this, and this is where we're going to get into the fan fiction, people. If I was writing this story, what I would do is when I don't remember his name, but anyway, when that Nephilim died and he falls into the black pool, um, and gets changed, the change or the new abilities that he receives, I would write into the story that he received those abilities from Satan, or the Lord of Lies, or whatever, um, to give rise to corruption. And of course, continue on with the story. Um, so Death gets past that trial and escapes corruption without being infected, and he goes to another world. The second world that you encounter along your way is the realm of the dead, and it is also infected with corruption. And in truth, the way that it's set up, because where corruption actually is and where this um, Nephilim is presiding, if you want to call it that, or where he's drawing his power from, is the Well of Souls, which is actually in the Dead Kingdom. So that would be essentially the first place that gets corrupted. And then it spreads out from there to all the worlds that are connected by the world tree. Of course, you go through the realm of the dead, and then you find or you acquire a way to activate the portal that goes to called Last Light. Oh, I am horrible with names. But anyway, it's like a lookout post for the angels. Okay, and when you get to there, you got some cool puzzles in this game, by the way. There's a lot of cool puzzles. I do like the puzzles that are in this game. It is a rather fun game to play. Um, anyway, you get to Lost Light, and at the end of it, you find out essentially that all the angels there have been infected with corruption. These are the first, beings of that world, if you want to call them that you see that are actually corrupted by corruption. You do fight corrupted angels as you're going through this level, but you at the end of it you realize that it's not just like the librarian and that gets infected, but also the Archon is infected with this corruption. And back to the fan fiction. This is where I would have written in the reason for Samael to side with Lucifer and essentially give up his abilities. Okay. The next realm you go to is Samael's realm, the area that he controls. It's also been infected by corruption. But, going in the Wayback Machine, this would give reason for Samael to side with Lucifer. because Lucifer probably would tell him, I have a way of stopping corruption or preventing corruption from destroying your realm or whatever he told him. However you wanted to write that in. And he convinced them that the only way he could do that would be to have access to his abilities, which was also probably, obviously a lie, because he then sealed those abilities within 4 abyssal creatures and imprisoned Samael. But this would have given a good reason for Samael to even side with him in the first place. Seeing that not only his land was going to be corrupted, but he himself would have been corrupted by this. Because he saw what happened to the beings of lost light. I'm just saying this fan fiction shit here. But how you can tie the story into this corruption. All the elements were there, they just didn't do it. Of course, moving on. Like I said, the next place that you go to is Samael's land. And I don't remember what it's called either. But it's like a realm in between light and darkness, just like the other one. And you meet, what is her name? I'm so bad with names in this game. The female demon. Come on, Dave. You know her name. Death screams it when he makes it to that chamber. Lilith. Get out here, Lilith. Yes, pretty much. The interesting thing about Lilith is that she created the Nephilim, which Death is a Nephilim. And so is the being that is, currently corrupting all the lands and destroying the land where Lilith is at currently. So she too holds some responsibility for all of this corruption that's destroying everything. Excuse me. And you could have woven that into the story very well. But again, they didn't. And it would have given reason for her to help Death in the way she did by giving him the ability to go back in time and speak with Samael to get the key. And then, of course, you get the keys, and then you can open up the Well of Souls in the Realm of the Dead. And then you defeat corruption, and then you're standing, before the well, and the end happens. And the end is very, very well written. It's very apt. It's anyway. He's standing there, basically, and like I said, I'm going to spoil this whole story and butcher it along the way. But he's standing there over the well, and he's got all these souls from the Nephilim embedded inside of him. He just defeated corruption, so that the realms connected by the tree won't be destroyed or continue to be devoured and changed by corruption. And he's been told by Lilith that he can bring back humanity, or he could bring back the Nephilim. But he has no idea how to do it, or even if he's capable of doing it. And that's when the Crow Father comes out and explains to him what he needs to do, and he does it. And he sacrifices himself to bring humanity back. I guess what I'm getting at is that the story, while though a well-written story, is fragmented, and it gets fragmented about halfway through it, and they never tie all the pieces together. And I don't, personal feelings here, I don't feel like that was a way that it was intended to be written. I think it was literally, like I said, it feels like they changed writers halfway through the game, and the new writers didn't know how to connect all of this stuff. But anyway, that's my review of Darksiders, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.